I think viewers can understand issues about free will and about mind-body, but I think most viewers are going to feel that somebody denying the existence of the real world, I mean, they must be crazy. However, people do deny it, so let's go through some of those points. If you look at the history of Western philosophy, really since the Greeks, one of the persistent errors has been to try to deny the existence of the real world existing independently of the human mind. And the idea that there is a real world that's external to us, it doesn't depend on us for its existence. It's there whether or not we were ever conscious. It was the physical reality was there before any of us was ever existed or was ever conscious, and it will continue to be there long after life and consciousness have ceased from our little planet. Now, that I regard as just absolutely basic. That's a condition of sanity, philosophically speaking. But that is frequently denied in the history of philosophy. Instead of making the world, the reality, the final touchstone, that is, everything else is answerable to the world, you make the world itself answerable to our states of consciousness. And of course, the famous philosophers who did that are most notably Berkeley, Bishop Berkeley, but a whole lot of others. There was a whole German idealist tradition after Kant. Now, Kant, as usual, is more ambiguous because he says there is a world of things in themselves, but we can't say anything else about it. You can't talk about it. So reality that we can deal with is answerable to us. Now, there are a lot of arguments against my view. My view I call realism or external realism, the idea that there's a way that things are that's independent of us. But that, as I said, has been constantly in dispute. There are a lot of people who challenge that. And the more I read of this stuff, I really think the arguments aren't what matters. It's that I can tell you some of the arguments, but the real gut impulse is somehow or other, it's just too humiliating that we should be answerable to this brute, blind, stupid reality. Why shouldn't reality be answerable to us? Why shouldn't it have to answer to our states of mind? And this, you find this in Kant. Kant says, well, the way to see how we can have synthetic a priori knowledge is to see that the phenomenal world is answerable to the categories of our mind and not the other way around. But it's also in the contemporary people, in the deconstructionists and the ethno-methodologists and all this sort of nonsense, who think, well, really, everything, what we call reality, is all a social construction. It's all something that we make, and consequently it's answerable to us. So if I had to give you the arguments that convince people that there is no real world, I can tell you the arguments, but they're pathetic. But I think the actual underlying impulse is a kind of will to power over a will to truth. And it's the feeling somehow or other, we're in charge. We ought to be in charge. And of course, if our minds create reality, then we are in charge.